Hey everybody, welcome back to Jeff Bowles Central. I was a really big fan of last year's Resident Evil 2 remake. How great was that game? Honestly, how great was that game? I suppose it matters if you're a Resident Evil fan, if you're a survival horror fan. But to my mind, it kind of combined the absolute best that the series has had to offer over the decades. It had one of the classic stories. It had the third person over the shoulder action of like Resident Evil 4, 5, 6. Although you could argue that one or two of those is actually not a very good game, but 4 was pretty good. I think we can all agree on that. So kind of brought that back into fashion, and it had the major spectacle and incredible next gen graphics that Final Fantasy VII Biohazard displayed so well. So I love Resident Evil 2, and I'm going to tell you something. I love Resident Evil 3, this newest remake. In fact, in a lot of ways, I enjoyed this campaign more than I enjoyed the Resident Evil 2 remake campaign, and I enjoyed that a hell of a lot. A lot can be said for Nemesis here. If you're familiar with the classic, PS1 era Resident Evil games, Nemesis is one of the cooler, bigger baddies, and he is still very, very cool here. Now, it could be argued that RE2's Mr. X, the Titan, was cooler, and in a way I kind of agree with that, because you never knew when he was going to show up. Not that you know when Nemesis is going to show up, but you just never knew. And he would follow you from room to room to room, and you would constantly have tasks that you had to do. You couldn't get it done because the guy was just always on your ass. It was like really, really frightening, really, really effective. And Nemesis is similar in that vein, but it's much more of an action-y kind of boss type experience than straight up stalking. This time around, there are not two individual, basically the same but kind of different campaigns. There is one, and that is mostly Jill Valentine, and then this guy Carlos here. He's not in it as much. It's mostly Jill. The only thing about this campaign, however, is that it's awfully short. It's awfully short. In fact, I've heard tale that it's even shorter, just like clockwise, than the original PS1 Resident Evil 3 length. And there's no Game Plus mode. There's nothing of the sort. So, there is a multiplayer component this time around. We'll talk about that in a sec. But look, it's a beautiful game. It's a fun game. It's an action-y, scary game, but it's not a long game. Not a particularly long game. No Game Plus mode either, so it's not like got a lot of replay. So let's talk about this multiplayer. Alright? Resident Evil Resistance. This thing kind of sucks. And I'll tell you why. It's 4-on-1 action. 4 regular human survivors versus a mastermind who can lay out zombies and traps and big bads and do anything and everything that he, she, or it can to stop the humans from escaping. And if you're a human, it's pretty standard Resident Evil. It doesn't look as good as the main campaign. It doesn't play as good. It's really bullet spongy in places, and in fact there are like places where the bullets aren't even fucking connecting with the guy's head necessarily. I am not a big fan of the multiplayer component, like at all. I suppose it could be balanced later on, but for me it's a bit of a wash. More fun to be the mastermind than just a standard human. In any case, not that much fun. Not as much fun as this campaign. This wonderful campaign. You ever have those days where you just break into song? It happens to me a lot. It really does. Like, it really, really does. So yeah. One of the great things about this campaign over Resident Evil 2's campaign, Resident Evil 2, the landscape, the basic layout of the game, level to level, was pretty limited, a pretty tight space, which is great for survival horror, especially because you had that Titan chasing you. Like, it was great for that. It really was. But it was kind of almost completely isolated to the police station, Raccoon City Police Station. So this time around, however, I just realized how much fucking Nemesis footage I got. I really like Nemesis. He's just so cool. He's designed so well. He's so scary. There's so many fun things you can do with him to get him out of your way. It's just good stuff. If you shoot him enough, he drop stuff for you, which is cool. I just like him. It's cool. Anyways, so this time around, you actually, as Jill, get to explore quite a bit more of the city itself. Especially this kind of downtown district where there are lots of secrets to be found. And thankfully, that awesome map. I don't know how often you play a game and go, oh, this game has an excellent map. It's really a feature, but it kind of is in these newer remake Resident Evil games. That map thing that tells you exactly if you've gotten everything in every single area, so you can be a completionist in an easy way. So exploring downtown Raccoon City is fun, because you can get in toy shops, you can get in liquor stores, you can get in pharmacies, you can get in donut shops. It's there's just a lot to do and a lot to see, more than I expected. It's not like an open world or something like that. It's still pretty channeled, but it's bigger in scope. Just as far as the terrain that you will traverse, as compared to Resident Evil 2. So, at length, and that was lengthy. One more Nemesis battle for you. It's a short game. It's like 5 to 6 hours. It's got a multiplayer component that sucks. I want to give the game a 9 or a 10, but I can't. So I'm going to give Resident Evil 3 Remake an 8 out of 10, because it's short, it's $60, and that multiplayer is kind of lame. Hey everybody, do me a favor. This is my latest novel, God's Body, Book 1, The Fall. It's an apocalyptic, horror-driven, action-driven, comedic, sometimes comic booky cool thing where these giant beings fall to earth and pummel each other to death, and it kind of sets off World War III, the end of the world as we know it. Very exciting, very, very cool. Pick it up on Amazon, paperback, Kindle. Ah, man, you're in for a treat. Like when the ice cream man comes. You get the Ninja Turtle pop.